Hello and welcome to my Pre-Algebra review series. This video covers Chapter 2, Section 6, titled Solving Equations by Multiplying and Dividing. By the end of this video, you'll have explored the concept of solving equations by multiplying and dividing. Presented here are both the division property of equality and the multiplication property of equality. Please leave a like if you find this video to be helpful. Give your classmates a heads up too. It will more than likely help them, and it certainly will help this channel to be seen by more students. If you would like me to cover any of these topics in greater detail, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I read them, and I do my best to address each as time permits. Please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell icon to be notified every time I release a new video. Thank you. Objective 1. Using division to solve equations. Division and multiplication are inverse operations. You can solve an equation that involves multiplication by using the division property of equality. So a key concept here is the division property of equality. If you divide each side of an equation by the same non-zero number, the two sides remain equal. So let's look at algebra here, the algebraic version of this property. If A equals B and C is not 0, then A divided by C is equal to B divided by C. And now we take that and move it to the arithmetic approach. 6 equals 3 times 2. Then we can divide both sides by 3. We can say 6 divided by 3 is equal to 3 times 2 divided by 3. And if you work it out, you can see it's true, because 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, so all that's remaining is the 2. On the other side, you have the remaining 2 right here after you divide out the 3's. So there's your answer. 2 is equal to 2. Okay, good. Okay, example 1. We've got a real-world problem to solve here. The United States population in 1998 was 270 million people, twice the population in 1943. Find the 1943 population in millions. Okay, so in words, it says in 1998 the population was 270 million, was twice the 1943 population. So if we let P equal population, remember we always like to do that, we like to set the variable oftentimes equal to the first letter of what the variable stands for, so it's easier to remember. So then we get the equation 270 from the population in 1998, 270, is equal to 2 times the population. P is the population in 1943, 2 times the population in 1943. So our equation then turns out to be 270 is equal to 270 is equal to 2p. So what is the population in 1943? Well, we have to get the p. The first rule is to get the variable by itself on either the left or the right side. So we're going to get it by itself on the right-hand side. So in order to do that, the p is multiplied by 2. We're going to have to divide by 2 to get rid of the 2. And that'll make the 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1, and you'll have 1p when you're done. So anything you do to the one side, if we divide the right-hand side by 2, we have to divide the left-hand side by 2. And that's what we're showing right here. 2p divided by 2 is equal to 270 divided by 2. We divide each side by 2 right here, each side. When we do that, we find out that p, after we simplify here, is equal to 135. That's half of 270. And so the answer to this question is the United States population in 1943 was at 135 million people. And 135 times 2 is equal to 270, so this is a reasonable, because 270 is equal to 2 times 135. So we're proving our solution. So for example 1, checking your understanding, as we've done in the past, it says solve each equation. I'm going to wait, and you should stop the video and go ahead and try and solve these just as we did in this previous slide. Solve these, and then when you come back, we'll look at them together, okay? So go ahead and stop the video. Okay, good. I'm assuming you tried your best and you all have correct answers. So let's do it. Problem A. A says 4x is equal to 84. So we want to know we're going to solve this equation. We're going to have to solve for x. And so 4x, I'll write it down, 4x equals 84. Well, in order to solve this, we have a 4 times x. And we need a 1 times x over here on the left-hand side. So that means we have to divide both sides by a number. And that number is what the number necessary to remove the 4 times on the left side. And you do that by dividing by 4. We divide each side by 4 because of the division property of equality says that whatever we divide by on one side, we have to divide by on the other side. And when we do that, we're going to see that the 4's cancel out, and we end up with x equals 84 divided by 4, and that is what? 21. There's the solution to that. B, 91 is equal to 7y. Okay? Well, same as before. We need to get the y by itself. And in order to do that, we need to remove the 7 times y. And the way to get rid of the 7 times y is divide both sides by 7. Divide the 91 by 7 and divide the 7y by 7. And when you do that, the 7's cancel. And you have a y on the right-hand side. And that y is equal to 91 divided by 7. And that happens to be 13. Going down to C. 12w is equal to 108. Okay? Again, what are we going to do? We're going to get the variable now that's on the left-hand side by itself. It removes any multiplication or anything that goes along with the w. We need a single w, one w. In order to do that, we're going to have to divide to get rid of the multiplication on the w, the 12 times w. And we're going to do that by dividing, and we're going to divide both sides by 12. Because when we divide this one side here, the left side by 12, the 12s disappear. Because the 12 divided by 12 is 1. And 1w is what we're looking for. 1w is equal to 108 divided by 12. And 108 divided by 12 is 9 times. So there it is, 9. W equals 9. Good. So here says example 2, dividing to solve an equation. It's really not much or any different, truly, than what we had just previously done. So it says solve 5r is equal to minus or negative 20. 5r equals negative 20. So we're going to solve that. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to write the equation. 5r equals negative 20. And then it's going to look a little different this time. Last time we drew a fraction bar underneath, in this case, the 5r and put a 500. Here we're multiplying by the inverse, okay, the reciprocal of 5, which is 1/5. It's the same as dividing by 5. You see, 1 divided by 5, this is 5 times 1, so 5, you get the picture, the 5s will disappear, and all that's remaining then is the r. So we're going to multiply each side by the inverse, the reciprocal of 5, both sides. You see, this side gets times 1/5 also. So when we do that and we simplify it, we're going to get rid of the 5s. They're going to cancel right here. And we're left with a single r on the left-hand side, one single r. And the minus 20 or the negative 20 times 1/5, or the same as negative 20 divided by 5, is equal to negative 4. And here's your negative 4 from that. So 5r equals negative. So now that's the answer. R equals negative 4. And now we're going to check. We're going to go back and check. Okay. So we're going to substitute the negative 4 in for r. Here's the r. We're going to substitute in negative 4. So on this line here of the equation, we say 5. Here's the 5r from the 5r. 5 right here. Here it is here. Here's the 5. And we've substituted on the r, negative 4, which came from the answer above. So 5 times negative 4, is that equal to negative 20? After we replace the r with negative 4. And we see that 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And we started with negative 20. So as it shows, check mark. It's the correct answer. Example 2, check your understanding. Directions, solve each equation. So we're going to do this like we've done in the past. I'm going to let you stop the video. Try these on your own. See how you do. And when you're finished, come back and we'll solve them together. I'll wait. Okay, now that you've completed your efforts in looking into the solutions here, we'll go ahead and get on them together. See how you made out. So we'll start off with, in this case, negative 3b is equal to 24. So what do we have to do? The rule is that, remember, get the variable by itself, a one variable, 1b in this case, on either side of the equation, equal sign. It doesn't really matter, but just pick one. It's already on the left side, so we're going to leave it on the left side. So in order to get it by itself, we have to take this negative 3 that's multiplied times the b, and we're going to have to divide it, because that's what this whole chapter is about, or this section, about dividing to get rid of the number here. So we're going to divide, and we're going to say that negative 3 on this side is b is equal to 24 divided by negative 3 on this side. We've done the same thing to both sides, negative 3. I use the negative sign because that immediately gets rid of the negative for the b, because we need a positive b, not a negative b. So when we do that, we get the 3's and the negatives both cancel, and we're left with b. And b is equal to 24 divided by 3, which is 8. And there's a single negative sign, so that means that it's a negative number. If they both had negative signs, it'd be a positive number, but it's only one negative sign, so it's negative. So it's negative 8. Let's go to b. 96 is equal to negative 8n. Just as before on problem A, we need to get the n by itself, and we're going to get it by itself on the right-hand side. So in order to do that, we're going to divide both sides by negative 8. You have to do the same thing on each side. So this says 96 divided by negative 8 is equal to negative 8n divided by negative 8. Well, by saying that, the 8's and the negative signs cancel. We end up with the n, and the n equals 96 divided by negative 8 is what? 96 divided by 8 is 12, and it's negative because there's only one negative sign. So the answer is negative 12. C. Negative 4d is equal to negative 56. So this one's a little different in that we have two negative signs in this. No big problem, just two negative signs to deal with. And as before, we need to get the d by itself, and the d needs to be a positive 1d. In order to do that, we need to divide both sides or multiply both sides by the inverse of negative 4. And I'm going to multiply by the inverse this time. It's the same as drawing a line and saying divided by, but I could have done that. But instead, I'm going to say times negative 1/4. That's the reciprocal. 1/4 is the reciprocal of 4. The negative sign just stays. Times negative 4d, d, and that equals negative 56. We don't worry about that negative sign. We just carry it out, and we're going to multiply that by negative 1/4. Okay? We're just multiplying both sides by negative 1/4. Otherwise, the equation didn't change. I just multiplied this side, the right and left-hand side, by negative 1/4. When you do that, the 4's over here cancel because that's the purpose of doing this. And the negative signs cancel, so now we end up with one singular positive d. And that one singular positive d equals 56 times 1/4, but it's a negative, and they're both negatives, so the answer is going to be positive. You have an even number of negative signs, it's going to be a positive number. So 56 divided by 4 is 14, and it's positive, so it's positive 14 is your answer. Okay, so now we come to objective 2, which is using multiplication to solve equations. When you multiply each side of an equation by the same number, the two sides remain equal. Just like the division property of equality. Okay, the only difference in the division is what you're dividing by cannot be 0. That's why they have that one stipulation in there. So, if I look at the arithmetic piece first, right here on this side, the arithmetic description, they're telling us, or not arithmetic, excuse me, the algebraic, please forgive that, the algebraic, if A equals B, so A has to equal B, then A times C is equal to B times C. So what that's saying is you can take any equality like this, 5A equals 9, I don't care what it is, and you can multiply each side by the same other number, 14, and the balance is still the same. It remains an even equation. Nothing has changed. The answer will be the same. When you get to A and B, it'll be the same answer. Arithmetically, we're looking at this problem as I was just saying. 12 equals 3 times 4. And we know that 12 is 3 times 4. We see it right here. So if you take the 12 and you multiply 12 by 2, you're going to get 24. If you take 3 times 4 times 2, 3 times 4 is 12, times 2 is 24. Same number. Okay? Example 3, multiplying to solve an equation. To solve this equation, x divided by -9 equals -3. A couple negative signs, we don't care. When we get done, we'll move them around. We'll find out how many we have, an even number or an odd number. If it's an even number, the answer is positive. And if it's an odd number of negative signs, the answer is going to be negative. So we're going to start off. It says we're going to multiply to solve. Right here it says multiply to solve the equation. So here's the equation. So we have x, right here, x over -9 equals -3. We're going to multiply. Since this is dividing now, we're dividing by -9 right here. So x over -9. We're going to multiply both sides by -9. In the past equations, we were dividing. This time we're multiplying. Same difference. -9 times x over -9 is equal to -3 times -9. Right here, -3 times -9. And that is the same as this side right here. And when we do that, these 9s cancel. The negative signs cancel. And we're left with x. So x right here, x equals what? 3 times 9 is 27. And you have two negative signs. Those two make a positive. It's an even number of negative signs. Positive 27. There's your answer. Okay, example 3. Check your understanding. So here we go. Solve each equation. It's your turn. Why don't you go ahead and stop the video. Try and solve these on your own. Work them, think them. Do your best. Come on back. I'm sure you're going to get them right. I'm sure you're doing fine. Let's come back and we'll solve them together. Okay, I'll wait. Okay, I'm done waiting. You're back. Let's get started on it. So, problem A. We have r divided by -5 equals 10. So in order to get r by itself, what do we have to do? You look at what you have. You have r divided by something. Well, according to what the rules we're learning, if you have r divided by something, you have to multiply. If it was r multiplied by something, you would be dividing. Simple, just inverse reciprocal operations. So r divided by 5, a -5, equals 10. So what does r equal? Well, r, getting it by itself, it'll be on the left side this time. We're going to leave it on the left side. So we're going to have we're going to multiply both sides, negative 5 times r over negative 5. And that's equal to 10 times negative 5. So the negative 5's over here cancel, and you're left with a singular 1r, positive r, equals to 10 times negative 5. 5 times 10 is 50. And since there's only one negative sign, the answer happens to be negative 50. Let's do B. S, oops, I guess I need to cancel that. There we go. S divided by 6 is equal to 54. We need to get the S by itself, and on one side or the other, and it's on the left side. We're just going to leave it there. No one told us we have to move it. Doesn't matter whether you say 5 equals S or S equals 5, it's still the same answer. So we're going to go ahead and, in order to get S by itself on the left-hand side, we have to do what? We're dividing by something. In this case, we're dividing by 6. So this section of this chapter tells us when you're dividing in an equation, you have to multiply to resolve it. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6. So 6 times S divided by 6 is equal to 54 times 6. Okay? So 56 times 6 is going to be positive because there are no negatives in here. The 6's cancel, and we end up with S equals, what's 54 times 6? It's going to be 24. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. So it's 32. Okay? And this with a 4, so it's 324. C says negative 30 is equal to t divided by 20. Well, this time we're dividing our lone variable over here by 20. That means we have to multiply by something to get t by itself, and what you multiply it by is its reciprocal. Okay, and its reciprocal of 20 is 1 over 20 is 20. Okay, because now this is divided by. This is 1t divided by 20 is the same as 1/20th t, right? So don't forget that. So that's what we're looking at. This is the multiplication by the reciprocal. So now we're going to put in the 20. So now we have 20 on both sides. We have to multiply each side by 20. So we have negative 30 times 20 is equal to t over 20 times 20. Well, these 20s cancel. The t remains, the one lone t remains positive. And 30 times 20 is 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros, 600. And there's one negative sign, not 2. So it's negative 600. T equals negative 600. Very good.